Alright guys, what are we talking about today? Today's going to be a little different. I don't do a ton of tag videos, don't usually do that stuff. I try to stick to testing and some other different things that I want to talk about. Today we're going to do a tag video. And this video is about your top 5 user knives. It was tagged by Profesor Edc. And I told him I'd go ahead and do this one. So, in no particular order, the first one is going to be the Hogue EX A01. It's the 3.5 inch version. I would have liked it to be the 4-inch version, however, it's just what I ended up with. It is still wearing the blade that came from Neil that Kurt tested, and I've still been using it. And to give you guys an idea, I looked to make sure how many times I had sharpened all of these. This one is at 35 sharpenings. Yes, I'm getting up into the choil pretty good. Gonna have to make that a little higher pretty soon. 154 cm. Yes, I love the blade, has no markings on it. So that's going to be one of them. The next one is solely for the steel, not for the knife. I'm not a huge PM2 fan, as you guys know. I do have some. I don't absolutely hate them. They're just far from my favorite knife. Long before I tested this, I did use this quite a lot. And I realized pretty quick that this M390 lasted quite a bit longer than the other M390 that I had at the time that I had been using. Then I ran the test. Kurt tested it. It is at 62. It's pretty good for M390. I enjoy it. I take this on a lot of road trips with me. Not because of what it is, just because I know that for the amount of cutting I'm going to have to do, I'm not going to have to sharpen it or anything like that. Don't use my knives a ton usually on road trips. And if there's something that I can't do with this, I do carry other stuff in my bag, so. But this one for the steel, not for the knife. I do need to get some more use on my M390 Mannix, because I'm sure that one will probably end up taking the place of this one a lot of the time. Next up, at first, I was thinking maybe it was the M4 Mannix. You guys know I have a ton of Mannix. I use a lot of them, so certain particular ones don't always get a ton of use. So then I looked, and I've actually sharpened the Crewwear more times. However, to be fair, this particular Crewwear at 62 does not cut as much per sharpening as the M4 does. So it's kind of a toss-up. I will say, just from the amount of times that I carry them, I'm going to have to go ahead and say the Crewwear definitely is the one that's been used more. This is probably the first Mannix that I grab for when I'm using one. It's Crewwear. It's a big reason why. And they don't make a K390 Mannix at the moment. So if they do, then maybe in the future that could change. But I've got a ton of crew wear. I'm not positive if I have more crew wear or more S90V, but I've got a ton of crew wear. I want to say over 10 different knives. Love crew wear. You guys know why. You can watch the other video. It hasn't always been wearing the smooth G10. I did change them out for quite a while. Then put these back on not long ago. And I may put on some blue Taro Tough that I have. Not positive yet. May just go with regular textured G10. Next up, a lot of things that aren't me. And I have to put in there, I'm going to make this one as a half slot. Because I don't use this knife to cut a whole lot. I do use the serrated part to cut sometimes. Most of the time, I'm using this as a scraper. Like this, or on other pieces like this. You can see by how far back the edge is. Yeah, scraping's pretty hard on the 154 CM. And while I have not recorded how many times I sharpened this one in my sharpening log, because I use it mainly for scraping and for quite a bit of prying with the tip down here, a lot of times this will get sharpened twice a week. I've had it for 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, so you guys can kind of do the math. No, I'm not going crazy on it. Even scraping with it, and it's 154 CM, doesn't take many passes to touch it up. But I didn't bring another knife out to show you guys. You can see how close to the serrated edge the plain edge is getting, so that gives you an idea of how much this has been sharpened. So we'll call that a half place. Yes, I haven't had this one that long, maybe 4 months or so. However, I've been using it quite a bit. After I got done testing it, I continued using it because this goes in with users. I think back to Kurt's M4 Freak, then the QSP M390. The Freak was 14 or 15 edges before it started doing well, and the QSP didn't start doing well till around 13 or 14, somewhere in there. This one is now on edge 13, and I'm noticing a huge difference over the previous edges on this. I'm about 3 weeks in on this edge, and it's nowhere close to needing to be sharpened. When I strop it, a good portion of the edge will still shave hair. So it may not be horrible after all. It may just be that you guys need to sharpen your stuff a lot more to see the true potential of it. So these two I'm giving half places. And last, I've talked about this knife a ton. This is probably one of my favorite users, not because of anything more than the dual contour on the handle, how it tapers toward the back in a curving motion, and how the scales are curved on the side. This is super comfortable for me to use anyway. The rubber texture most people don't like. I feel that adds to how comfortable this actually is. And while they call the M4 Freak contoured, that's really just got some handle milling on it. I can tell you from having both of them at the same time, that M4 Freak feels nothing like this when you're using it. Feels totally different. I much prefer this handle. I don't find this any harder to go in and out of the pocket than Spyderco G10 is. So you guys know what that's like to put in and out of your pocket. I don't understand where people talk about how difficult this is to put in and out of your pocket. I've tested this. Then Kurt got a hardness on it. Don't remember what it is off the top of my head. It is on my spreadsheet, I believe. And it's definitely in one of Kurt's older videos. But I absolutely love this. The biggest downfall to it to me is, and really the same with the RSK, as comfortable as these are, I'd prefer if maybe they were a back lock or something that didn't have Omega springs. And while I haven't had a ton of Omega springs break, I have had them break. I've had to buy aftermarket springs to fix them. So while this is something I really enjoy using, I'm not a big fan of that lock. As I touched on with the Freak, if you look at this, it's a narrow here. It swells in the center and gets even narrower up toward the blade here. It's also contoured this way, and it also has some slight grooving right here. This also is super comfortable in use. I also rounded the edges on this. I hope this does better. I enjoy using this one as well. Love the design. Just wish they used something other than 20 CV. So these are my top user knives right now. I didn't bring any fixed blades out. I have a few that I've used as much or more than these. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that. I don't know. I'll contact these people also, but I'm going to go ahead and tag EDC Journeys, All Things Knives, and Knife Thoughts to do your top 5 user knives. So I'll let those 3 know. Those of you who don't have a channel, let me know down in the comments, what are your top 5 users. Also, I'm curious, and I'm going to keep talking about it. How many of you, I want to know, how many of you really sharpen your knives? Not just here or there, a lot. I know a few people that do. I talk to them on a pretty regular basis. But I want to know the rest of you, how often do you guys actually sharpen? That's all I have for this one. As always, I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.